In the wake of Arthur, the tropics are expected to remain quiet, which is nothing unusual this time of year, but is that foreshadowing for the rest of the season? In this tropical weather update, I'm Jeff Huffman. When you look at these storms over the past 100 years, we've all seen this graph before. Most of the activity starts to really ramp up in August. The peak is being in early September. And we're still well before the peak. So the forecast period here typically is quiet across the Atlantic. It's a new month, though. Let's see where storms typically form in July, close to home, very similar to what happens in June. But later in July, we start to see some activity flare up in what we call the main development region, or the MDR, of the central and the eastern Atlantic. But none of that is expected in the near future. If storms were to impact the Sunshine State, most typically they would form to our east or southeast across the eastern Caribbean. It's this time of year where the steering currents are a little more westerly into the Gulf of Mexico, but still in July anything can happen. And I am watching a tropical wave here that has flared up north of Hispaniola. Deeper tropical moisture is all this is, and it's going to be pulled into this old stationary front, and we will see an uptick in the rain coverage and intensity midweek, especially for central and south Florida. It was a stormy weekend, and it will probably be a stormy midsection of the week as well when that tropical wave starts to add some more moisture. And those thunderstorms will get a little stronger and a little longer lasting. Typical rainfall amounts for most of the state, but central and south Florida and that purple area, 2 to 4 inches of rain could occur this week with the added moisture from that wave. All right, for the rest of the season, does the first Hurricane Arthur tell us anything about the season? And is El Nino impacting that just yet? Not exactly. The INSO signal, the El Nino Southern Oscillation Index, has still been neutral. It has to get above 1.0 for an El Nino to be declared, and it has leveled off, although the forecast officially from NOAA is still for it to go above 1.0 by the fall. I think what right now is keeping tropical activity from developing, which is nothing unusual in July. We've had some dust storms off of Africa. You see one there moving to the west, and that's going to be approaching the eastern Caribbean this week. There's even another one that just recently flared up there off the deserts of West Africa. So obviously when you have dry air and dust, you do not have thunderstorms, and we cannot find any on the satellite picture east of the Lesser Antilles. Also wind shears, very strong because the Azores high pressure is causing those winds to come in out of the north and east, and that will likely keep storms from forming. So north formation expected over the next 5 to 10 days. We're just going to watch closely these tropical waves as they move into the Gulf and the eastern or western Caribbean.